it's Ashley, and it's been a while since I've made a video, but I just wanted to pop in now that we've been home from London 6 months now, I guess. That's embarrassing, but I really wanted to film a video just about kind of my planning process, kind of highlighting how I did that, how that came about. There's no way that I could enumerate on everything that I did. It was just a lot. But I did want to hit some highlights because I've had some people ask, how did you piece together this trip? An important thing to note is that we did not use a travel agent. Everything that we did was, really was me booking everything on my own. And I just kind of came about that naturally. I just didn't really see a need to use a travel agent to put together the trip, partly because I had been in London before. And in case you missed me mentioning it, which is there's no way you could have, but I did London semester back in 2006 during college. So I was familiar enough with everything to know kind of a framework of how I wanted to do things, but it was really just a matter of sitting down and putting the puzzle pieces together, and that was the most time-consuming part, obviously. But I do have notes on my phone, so I'll probably be looking down. But just jumping right into it, we went in August, and a big reason for that was, the first step is always narrowing down when you want to go. We chose August because that's whenever it's considered tourist season over in London. A lot of exhibits and certain museums and things are open when they aren't throughout the rest of the year. So normally Kurt and I avoid a touristy season anywhere, but for this particular trip, we wanted to go during that time. Partly because I lived over there in the spring, my spring semester, and so there was things that I did not get to see that I really wish that I could have. So for instance, Buckingham Palace, Shakespeare's Globe Theatre, Highclere Castle, those were all places that I really wanted to see that I did not see last time. So we chose to go during August. We went the first 2 weeks of August. It was like the second and third week of August. It was a great time to go. It was beautiful weather, and we really just dressed in light layers, had light jackets, and we were never cold, we were never hot, so it was perfect. We did not notice a big surge in crowds. Of course, I had very minimal to compare it to, but we never felt overly crowded or like things were really, really crowded with people. So I started a year out. And that seems crazy to some people. Actually, I said, my tip is for you to start at least a year out. I started like 2 years out because I was so excited about this trip. But that sounds crazy to a lot of people, and that it probably is. But the way that I was planning it, it's overwhelming. London is a really, really big trip. And that's without us even going off into really different areas. We didn't go, over to France. We didn't make any sort of trip out of the UK. But there's enough in London to where it's overwhelming as it is. But I just kind of sat down with a Word document on my computer, and I started immediately listing out things that I knew that we wanted to do and prioritize. And that's not even true. I wrote down things that came to my mind, and then later I edited that down to what we really could maybe feasibly do, and we didn't even get to do all of that. So I started out with a really big list and then narrowed it down. You're able to research things, and the reason I say start this far out is that you're able to sit at your computer. There was times whenever I would have just, the TV on, or I would, whatever, and I would just be researching. I would just type in, what are the top tourists, if you look at the London, what's it called? It's like what other cities call a city pass, the London Pass. I think it's called the London Pass, and it has a list of the most popular sites in London, tourist sites. And we ended up not using the London Pass. But that website, just as an example, gave me a list of things that are popular to do and see. And so things like that you can just kind of look through and you can explore and say, that looks interesting, or that doesn't look, that's not really my thing. So we started out just making a list, and there were things obviously that I had done back in 2006 that I knew I really wanted to show Kurt, I wanted to see again. So that's what that was that. You can start, even if you don't have specific dates, like if a, museum or whatever has not released their specific dates for the year that you're going, you can still make a list and you can still research that. So I highly recommend just doing that at the bare minimum. Start as far out as you can when you kind of even remotely know when you're going to be going. So we selected our dates. August was pretty much a given because of when we wanted to go and what we wanted to see. And then we booked a hotel. And again, research. And I kept coming back. I used TripAdvisor to research hotels, and then I used Expedia to book my hotel. And we ended up going with the Ashburn Hotel in Kensington. It was absolutely perfect, beautiful hotel, well kept. It had that kind of small, kind of privately owned feel. It wasn't a chain, which is what I wanted, but it came with a chain price, which was, relatively low considering the area. It was right by the Gloucester Road tube station, which was a perfect location. It was a very quick walk to the tube, which is what you want. But then it was still very private. It was the perfect blend, and I would recommend it to anyone in a heartbeat. The Ashburn Hotel. It was perfect. The reviews were amazing. That's how I knew. You just read reviews, and sometimes you can't rely on that. Sometimes people are just, I don't know. When they get on those websites to review, sometimes it's a very skewed review. But I really, really looked over so many hotels, and I got a great feeling on this one. I just did. And so I booked it on Expedia, had no problems with that. I did, confirm a couple of times in the months leading up to our trip, and then right before we left for our trip. Because sometimes Expedia, when you're doing online, deal sites, they can get messed up or whatever, but I had no problems, and it was perfect. Okay, so keep an eye out on when tours like Highclere Castle or Downton Abbey open up for reservations. With really popular things like that, I knew I was going to try for Downton Abbey, which is Highclere Castle. But there was a travel agent I was talking to really early on, and we ended up not working with her, but she made it sound like it was virtually impossible to get tickets to Highclere. You can't do it. There's no way. And I just kept researching. I looked into Brit Movie Tours, which is a tour company, and basically you book through them, and then they secure you a ticket. So, or they have a block of tickets reserved in their name, and so you're therefore able to get a ticket. So I kept looking at that, and when that window opened up to book, I was just on it. I mean, it was like a nightly thing where I would just kind of make it a habit of checking different things. If things have opened up, if we can get a reservation somewhere. It became a fun kind of like part of my routine, actually. But I was ready to book whenever things opened up, because I had enough of a knowledge to know I want that tour, or I want, that's what research does. It gets you ready to book whenever you're, when that opens up. So that's a big tip, is just keep an eye on things and just be ready to pull the trigger whenever things open up. So Brit Movie Tours, I had no problem. Now, we did do a private tour, and the group bus tours where there's 50 people going that day, those book up really quickly, because obviously they're less expensive, and you're with a big group on a big bus. And I noticed those sold out. I couldn't even get on those, but we did pay more for a private tour, and it was worth every single penny. It was incredible. It was just great. Okay, so as you're researching and as you're looking at websites starting to release information closer to the dates of your trip, you can start plugging those things into your Word document that you've started. I remember I just started writing out, the date, Monday, August 7th, or, and each day I wrote out in my Word document, and then I would just start filling things in kind of like a puzzle. If I made a reservation for a day trip, then I just kind of, I looked at the kind of the course of the trip, and I plugged in, okay, this would be a good day to go to Windsor Castle. That gets us out of London, that'd be good. So then the next day, we might stay in London and do, a couple of walks, or then the next day, just kind of spacing it out to where you're not doing a bunch of day trip travel right in a row, just things like that, just starting to kind of get the framework of your trip. And then the main way that I formulated our schedule was through London walks. And you've heard me say this a million times. You saw it on the vlogs. London walks is hands down the best way to see London. And it's an actual company, London Walks. And there's many imposters out there. I know I sound like I'm like I have stock in them. I obviously don't. I'm not paid to say anything. But they are the best company. They're the best guides. They go through rigorous training. It's really, really thorough training. And they're so informative and just so clever and knowledgeable. And it's just great. I cannot say enough good things about it. And I recommend doing 1 to 2 walks a day, at least 1 walk a day if you're in London. They take 2 hours, I believe, and there's a pamphlet, like the first time you go on your first walk, they'll give you a hard copy pamphlet that you can reference at, throughout your trip to see where the different walks are. But I actually got online, and the way that it kind of works is they'll have a winter schedule and then like a summer schedule. And so whenever I was in the throes of planning this, they were still in their winter schedule. But the walks don't change. The days and the times might be adjusted a little bit through the seasons, but generally speaking, the walks themselves, with the titles of the walks and the themes, are the same through both seasons. So I looked through and I was able to immediately say, okay, we're interested in doing the Westminster at War, or what's another one? Like the Christopher Wren architecture one, and Kensington. Topics that were, that I knew that we would be interested in. I was able to, again, make a little side list of, okay, when they release the schedule, then it's just quick and easy to see, okay, here's this, and plug it into our days. So that's exactly what I did. I just kind of waited for them to release the summer schedule, and then I was able to look and specifically see, okay, which walks are going to be given on August the 8th, like very specific to our trip. So that is literally my biggest tip to you, is to use London Walks as a framework, because they're that good. You will not get more experience and what's the word I'm looking for? Memories for the money. I mean, it's great. Select museums and restaurants, etc., in the area of the walk that you'll be in that day. So if I knew that we had the Tower of London planned, or Westminster Abbey planned, I tried to group things kind of in that area, if at all possible. And I just used good old Google Maps for that. I just kind of I would plug in 2 points and I would see, okay, what's nearby? Is this doable? Is it, again, more extensive than maybe some people would do in their planning, but it really is enjoyable for me to plan a trip, and especially one this special. I just really enjoyed it. So take it or leave it, but that's what I did. Don't pack too much in a day, but aim for a full day. Account for jet lag. When we first got there, I think our first day, like we were supposed to get off the plane at like maybe 7 a.m., 8 a.m. And then I had planned for us to go to our hotel and to beat jet lag, immediately go on a walk to Kensington Palace, which we did. And, we started to feel it, towards the end of the walk, we were like, gosh, because it was a walk around that area, and then I think we went in and actually toured Kensington Palace. And so by the end of that, we were really dragging. And so I had planned a little lunch spot nearby for us, and then another walk that afternoon, and we just couldn't do it. We had to just take a few minutes, it was actually like an hour or two, to nap, and then get up, go to dinner, get back, And so that's tough, because on one hand, you need to have a plan so that you can really hit the ground running and try to beat jet lag, but also account for the fact, make it flexible, just make it, that's with anything, but just account for the fact that you might need to stop and take a nap to help with jet lag. I had a full list each day of things that we could choose. Someone looked at our schedule and was like, "You are not going to be able to do all this in a day." And I was like, "I know, like that." I didn't expect to be able to, tick every box as we went down the day. But it was great. I mean, I still have that Word document printed out somewhere, but it was great to just pull that out and just look at each day and be able to kind of rearrange things on the fly because it was just laid out there in front of me. Do not be afraid of day trips. That's a big tip that I have. My top 3 are Windsor Castle, Bath, and Hampton Court Palace. Bath is the farthest away, and that's more of a trek, but still very easy day trip. Windsor Castle is nothing. It's a 30-minute train ride outside of London, and Hampton Court is again a train ride, a little bit longer. Not really, just different kind of journey. But those are easily done without a guide. You can do them on your own. We did not have any planned excursions there. We just went. And I did get our tickets to, let's see, I don't think I got our tickets to Bath ahead of time. I think we bought them when we got there. But Windsor and Hampton Court Palace, I bought our tickets online. As with Kensington Palace, I bought a lot of our tickets online ahead of time. And you don't have to do that, but I highly recommend it because you skip the ticket lines. So if you're a ticket holder, you walk right into a different queue than people that are queued up to buy their tickets for the day. So I really, really recommend that. Also getting there right when something opens. We got, I think I planned our tickets. It was a timed entry for several different things that we did. And for instance, Windsor, I think was a 9, 8, or 10 a.m. ticket. And that's right when it opened. And the line was already so long for people to buy tickets. And we were able to just literally walk right in. So I highly recommend buying things ahead of time. Make dining reservations, just your nice meals, the ones that are really special, famous restaurants, a high tea. Make those reservations if you want that security of knowing that you'll for sure be able to do that. But also just know there were so many meals, especially lunches, that we just popped into like a pub and had very good food, and it was very easy. So don't feel like you have to, it's not like Disney World where you have to have every, for a sit-down meal, it has to be, really, really meticulously planned out. I think it helps. I would say that. But that's just my personality. I think it really helps to know. I love being able to plug in the reservation confirmation number. That's just, I'm geeky like that. We did not do some of the typical tourist things like the London Eye, Madame Tussauds Wax Museum. There are several touristy things that London has that we just didn't do. Everyone's going to have a different opinion on those. I feel like, for instance, the London Eye, which is basically, in my opinion, a glorified Ferris wheel. Now, it's really cool. If you're into views, if you're into like being up high, looking extensively over a city, yes. But for us, it was not worth the time. Like, that wasn't as important to us. The London Tube, in my opinion, is very easy to navigate. I think it's very straightforward in how you do it. Of course, it's going to take some getting used to, as with anything, but I think that it's really one of the easiest subway systems I've ever done. The travel is very confusing in the sense of what kind of tickets you need to secure for underground stuff. And I did so much research, I asked so many people, and I finally got on TripAdvisor, and this godsend of a person wrote it out for me and was just like, basically, just trust me, this is what you need to get. And she was right. He or she was right. I never knew. But what we did is we got an Oyster card, and it's a blue little card, and we loaded a 7-day travel card onto the Oyster. So that was good for our travel, and the person explained to me the capping and the price and all that. So we loaded a 7-day travel card, and then we topped it off with like £5 or so for overages if we went into a different zone that it covered. But midway through our trip, we then loaded another 7-day travel card onto the Oyster. So that we didn't have to worry about fares or anything like that. I highly recommend, if you're going to be there over like 3 days, just get a travel card, load it on there. So when we got to London Heathrow, we went to this desk where a person was working. I said exactly what my TripAdvisor person had told me to say. And I just said, we need an Oyster card, we need a 7-day travel card, top it off with about £5. And they were like, yeah, sounds great. I mean, they were used to hearing something like that. So it went great. It went really smoothly. We used professional tour companies for Highclere Castle, which is Downton Abbey. We used Brit movie tours, and then we used British tours for our stately homes tour. We went to like a series of 3 stately homes, and if both of those were privately guided. Again, it's what you prioritize in your budget. We really wanted experiences like that, where we had a guide, we got to know that guide, we created memories, we had great conversations with that guide. Of course, you can have a great experience on a big tour bus if you go with a tour company for anything. But for us, it was just a really, really cool experience to have the one-on-one. So if you're able to prioritize that in your budget, really do that. I highly recommend it. Theater, oh my gosh, I could talk for hours about this. We saw, and I know I'm probably leaving off something, so go back in my vlogs and you can see what we saw. Off the top of my head, we saw Bend It Like Beckham, Les Mis, High Society, Seven Brides for Seven Brothers, and Shakespeare's Much Ado About Nothing. All of those were so very different and equally amazing. Again, researching. I went to playbill.com, and there's a little place where you can either click on London, or I think it may say West End, and that's London's theater district. And so I was able to look at the shows that were currently playing. That's something that you really can't book until, I would say, 6 to 8 months out. I even had to get some even closer into the trip for that. My biggest tip here is aim for unique theater experiences that are unique to the UK and London. Try not to see shows that you can see in the US. Of course, we saw Les Mis, which you can see in the US, but all the rest of those were unique to the UK. And I can't say enough about it. You don't want to waste your time in London's West End on something that you can see in New York City. You just don't. There's a lot of new theater that was coming out. Bend It Like Beckham was brand new when we saw it. High Society was brand new. Seven Brides for Seven Brothers was the outdoor theater in Regent's Park, and that was just a limited engagement there in Regent's Park. Much Ado About Nothing was in Shakespeare's Globe, which that's enough said. But again, a limited engagement. The Globe and Regent's Park, both outdoor theaters, incredible. Another reason that we went in August was because of those 2 things. Buy your tickets ahead of time. I bought all of our theater tickets ahead of time. We did not stand in line at the half price booth. I think there's one like London, or there's discount theater ticket booths. We did not want to waste time being in line for that. I just paid the money. I got them online. I chose our seats, which was great. Just like you would with a Broadway show, I was able to choose our seats. My biggest thing is try various experiences in theater. Outside, something Shakespearean, theater in the round. High Society was in a round theater. Just all of those things were equally different. And Bend It Like Beckham, I talked about this in the vlog. It's based in Indian culture, and it was beautiful. It was absolutely stunning. And just doing something different, seeing a new show that's just come out. My theater professor in London always told us to take risks in theater, take risks with what you see. And we really didn't. When you look at what we saw, we knew a lot of what we were getting, but it was still new shows and new productions, so it was fresh to our eyes, and it was amazing. So I highly, highly recommend filling your time with theater if you're able to. The biggest thing that you're going to take away are just, obviously the memories and the experiences, and it's worth that money. And that's why we waited for 8 years after we got married to go on this trip. And it was in the back of our heads. It was a goal. It was a dream for that long. And, take the time to dream about it and to spend time planning, and you appreciate it more. The payoff is huge. After I had planned all these different things, and I had this Word document a mile long, you know, there was a huge payoff in the trip, and seeing all of those things really come to life, really. And so I think this has probably been all over the place, but I hope that helps. Just taking your time is really kind of the overarching theme of this planning video. Taking plenty of time just to think through what you want to do and how you want to spend your time and your money, because it's not easy to jaunt over, you know, to London or anywhere internationally. And so those are my tips, and I hope you enjoyed. If you have any other questions, be sure to ask them below, and I'm sure I'll pop in for some more videos pretty soon. Speaking of travel, my husband and I are leaving at the end of this month to go to Israel. My dad is a pastor, and he's going to be leading a group. I think there's about 50 of us that are going to be going to Israel at the end of the month, and we could not be more excited. So I plan to vlog like I did with London, and fingers crossed, I hope that goes okay. But that's something that I would not miss documenting for the world, seeing the Bible come to life. And so I'm laughing at myself because it probably looks like, you know, we travel like all over the world frequently. That is not true. This was a very, very weird, you know, awesome but weird travel year. And so it's just ended up that we've taken 2 international trips pretty close together. But usually we stick close to home, and our travel is not that extensive. But it's exciting because I feel like I get to show that and document it, and it's cool to look back on. I've already watched some of our London vlogs back, and just you really relive those memories when you're watching it on the screen. So I hope you guys are going to tune in and enjoy that, and I'll check in with you guys later, I'm sure, as we're headed over to Israel. So take care. Bye, guys.